training, though of course, as I mentioned, there are always licensed clinicians that counselors can call on if they need help.
So it sounds like this is a set of skills that anybody can at least get better at.
Absolutely. Anyone can be aware of their friends, family, loved ones, and anyone can ask, how are you doing? If you notice something is different, you seem upset, whatever it might be, the advice that I got in the training was just name it. Ask your loved ones if they're doing okay, and then just be there to listen. And if you have a specific concern about suicide risk, name that too. It's okay to outright ask, do you feel that you might be at a risk of suicide? Or put it in words people use. Have you thought about killing yourself? Did you Hurry Dylan explained it. There's a common misconception that asking someone about suicide would give them an idea, and that's just not true. There is quite a bit of knowledge that we have in the field of suicidology that tells us asking someone could actually relieve their stress. It makes them feel seen, and the depth of their pain kind of finally has a space to be spoken.
So Kathy, starting the conversation is one thing, but what if once you get into it, it gets to be too much, it feels overwhelming for either party?
Right, because it is one thing for me to say no, ask, but then what happens when someone answers? And I thought I might come out of this training and demonstrate that, look, if I can do it, anyone can do it, and here are a few tips about how to have these conversations. To a certain extent, that's true. Everything that I said about just being there, just listening, just asking, is true. But also remember, the counselors who do this training for the Crisis Lifeline have gone through at least 72 hours of this kind of training. It's a scaffold. And they don't jump into the taking phone calls on day one. They also have links to all kinds of resources that you and I might not ordinarily be aware of. So if you want help, you can call 988 yourself, or there is another option. Here's Nargis to Hurry Dylan again. One of the things that I often suggest to parents, to siblings, to loved ones is call the crisis with your loved one that you're worried about if they're willing to, and try it out together. And that really reduces the pressure on the person who's already struggling to have to do the really hard task of picking up the phone and talking to someone about their problem. You can say, hey, we can call together and let's see how it goes.
Be a valuable tool for a lot of folks out there. Gonna round out that segment right there. Kathy, thank you so much for joining the program.
Thanks very much for having me.
KCBS In Depth, featuring a rebroadcast of the I'm Listening program, our annual special raising awareness about mental health and suicide prevention. I'm Keith Manconi, joined by my co-host Melissa Colroth and special guest, clinical psychologist Meredith Sears. Melissa, we'll take it from here.
Our second story of community solidarity takes us to the Golden Gate Bridge and the long-standing effort to prevent suicides by installing a barrier all along the span. Now, the project has been hit with one setback after another over the years, but now excitement is growing among its supporters as construction of a steel anti-suicide net is getting into the final stages. KCBS's Brett Burkhart spoke with some of the people who have gotten us to this point.
This is a story about turning tragedy into action to save lives. But it's one that can't be told without hearing how each family became part of a club they weren't looking to join, involving one of the most iconic structures in the world.
It's incredible. It's like majestic, nice to see it in person.
That structure is a million people from around the globe visit every year. Biking, walking, taking tours.
Just there to give a tour of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Hard to believe that this majestic bridge is also the source of sorrow for some.
The bridge has cast a dark and tragic shadow since the very beginning.
And many of those who have experienced
Brother, we're playing video games,
of
and
course, he was supposed to be at school that day.
upstairs to bed. When we woke up, he wasn't there.
Older son said, "Oh, Mom, did you see those people that are looking for Emmanuel Gamboa? Lost his 18-year-old son, Kyle, in 2013. Not even moments later, they come walking back up. And I'm sitting here and I go, hey, the people are back.
Fed up and just knew everything was wrong.
Dana Whitmer mother lost her 20-year-old son, Matthew.
And around 1 o'clock, my husband Mark called me. And he said, oh, San Francisco. You know, Matthew probably parked his car in the wrong spot and they're going to tow it or something. Nah, I'm going, no. This is worse. Find out. Call me back.
I stood up at the time and Kim looked at me and said, man, they're not religious people. They're that county coroner's office.
And I firmly believe that what woke me up was him just calling out to me, going, what the hell did I just do, Mom?
There was no signs of any mental illness, no signs of any of this path that he chose to take.
You know, and everybody who has survived from that bridge, like Kevin Hines, they say they immediately regret it.
And this is Kevin Hines, the survivor Dana referenced.
And the millisecond my hands left that rail, it was an instant regret. Percent recognition that I had just made the greatest mistake of my life and it was too late.
He has become a leading voice for suicide prevention and a source of comfort and inspiration for families who have been left behind. But those who have survived have a common theme they've shared with him.
People have recounted in the midst of their attempts that they all had instant regret the moment they thought it was too late. And I believe that is because at the moment where they thought it was too late, they finally recognized their thoughts could simply be their thoughts. And that's how I live today.
We also know that from studies done back in the 1970s that over 9 out of 10 people who are stopped from jumping at the Golden Gate Bridge go on to live long and productive lives.
Paolo Koslich-Schwartz is the spokesperson with the Golden Gate Bridge Highway.
During a study of over 500 people, and it was a key point of research that convinced our board to make the decision to build a barrier, because we knew these people weren't just going to go somewhere else. They do get better, and that for the vast majority of people, being stopped at the Golden Gate Bridge would allow them to continue living a long and happy life.
It's the reason Kevin and countless families like the Whitmers and Gamboas, along with organizations like the Bridge Rail Foundation, spent years advocating for a suicide barrier at the Golden Gate Bridge. And on June 27, 2014, funding for the net was approved.
You know, all the families that lost their loved ones, that went to every board meeting, every hearing, every month at the Golden Gate Bridge District, and how we fought to get from 16-0 against us to 16-0 for us, that's an amazing feat.
This is an instance of the community around the bridge coming together to do the right thing, to take a bold step, perhaps ahead of the rest of society.
Off in the distance, you can hear the sound of construction. These are crews installing that safety barrier that has been debated for decades, and it brings comfort to the people who have been left behind by loved ones.
The design of the suicide barrier has a proven track record from similar installations in bridges across the U.S. and Europe that virtually eliminates attempts all.